There will never be a perfect planning and journaling system that we can stick to for the rest of our lives. That's my hot take because believe me, I've tried. So I was the kind of girl who will always like set up her Notion Life OS just to change it up again in a month or even less. And I've also tried studying how to automate stuff so that my calendar and my email and my task manager could like talk to one another, and I would spend hours setting up those automations just to end up not using any of them. And I've also swung to the other end, buying different types of journals, different types of planners, and then just using half of them and then like having this shiny object syndrome and wanting to move on to another prettier journal and prettier planner. So I get it. And instead of like being frustrated with myself or blaming myself, I've come to accept and I strongly believe now that the best system that we can ever set up for ourselves is not the ones that are found in these best-selling nonfiction books or recommended by our favorite creators, but it's the one that we use because it was made for us. It was made for our needs. Our systems change with us. And the more that we embrace that, the more that we accept that the way that we work changes and that it's okay to not stick to the same tools that have helped us achieve some level of success in the past is okay. And it's gonna help us grow even more and be more, not just productive, but at peace with the way that we work. So for example, last year I was very overstimulated. My screen time was too high, and that was the time that I explored more analog ways of planning. And then I've gotten back to journaling with like longhand and really processing my feelings, the changes that I was planning to make. I was like brainstorming on paper, and I was also managing my calendar, my events, my to-do lists via the bullet journal method. But as I said, our systems change with us. And I realized that it's okay to change the way that we work, the way that we manage our lives, because I used to be so rigid about it. I used to think that there is this one perfect system and that my life will be better once I find that system. But now I believe that we can create the system that works for us because the best systems are the systems that we actually use, not just the systems that we set up and then forget, or systems that are like perfect on paper but not really realistic. So for example, yeah, as I said, last year I went back to the more analog way of working or planning or journaling. But this year, because there were a lot of changes that I was going through, lots of transitions, and also juggling different projects and priorities, I went back to my digital tools, which I'll share later, and it's not Notion. But and I have no shame about that, even though right now the trend is all about going back to the analog stuff. I've reached a point in my life where it's okay if what I'm doing is not what everyone is doing. It's okay if what I'm doing is not on trend. And that's not to say that I no longer use physical notebooks, because I do. And actually, the first tool that I'm going to share is something like analog. So today, what I'm going to share in this video are the 3 tools that I use, or 3 tools that are part of my journaling and planning system. So starting with number 1, the simplest, no fuss tool in my system is this pocket notebook. So I'm obsessed with pocket notebooks mainly because they're so portable and it makes it easy to just like pull it up, write your idea, write anything that pops up in your head. And also it's not intimidating to fill out even up to the very last page because it's not that big, and it's very handy, very cute. And I love like shopping for cute colored pocket notebooks. So for example, this one is just like $2, I think. I bought it last year because I found the color so cute. green used to be my favorite color, and I put my friend Patricia's sticker. So she designed this. It says touch some grass, because I think April, May, June is like perfect for going outside, getting more sun, having some picnics with your friends and your family. So that feels very appropriate for my Q2 daily pocket companion. And I also put like a plastic protector here to be able to put this cute postcard that I got from Planner Con. So it's a conference where different Filipino artists and sellers share their journaling stickers, washi tapes, and other fun stuff. And inside, I have this cute sticky notes that I got from KKV, I think. It's like my salad sticky note set. So there's a lemon, cabbage, and tomato. And I have here the month of April. So this is, I'm recording this on the 1st of April, and I haven't like touched it yet. I haven't written anything on it yet. But later I will show how I usually use this pocket notebook. So yeah, I think I'm gonna shoot that separately because I'm just recording on my phone, and I'm gonna give you like the, what do you call that, the flat lay view as I write on it. And now I'm gonna show you my second tool, which is my calendar and task manager in one app, which is Ellie. So I've been using this on and off since 2023 or 4, and I use it more aggressively or proactively when times are crazy for me, when I'm juggling different projects, different timelines, and I'm feeling stressed out, because sometimes it's hard to track projects and tasks on paper, in a sense that it's not easy to reschedule them, or you'll have to rewrite the tasks that you were not able to complete. And even if you use a rolling weekly, it's still a hassle to like find the page where you wrote it and then like backtrack and all that. So this is how the app icon looks like. I think it was named after the developer's hamster, which is really cute. But first things first, what I love about this app is the analytics part. But I'm just gonna show you, I can't show you my actual analytics, but I'll show you how the dashboard would look like. So here you have the number of tasks you've completed in a certain period of time. So it could be the current work week, last 7 days, 40 days, last month, or even customize it. And then we also have like a comparison of the actual time it took you to complete your tasks on average versus the time that you thought it would take to finish those tasks, which is really cool because it gives you this more accurate picture or idea of how much time you really spend on particular tasks, giving you better, helping you better estimate your time in the future. And then you also have brain dump section, so you'll see it's clear, but if you would have like backlog or tasks that you put in your brain dump and wasn't able to schedule yet, you'll see it there. Then you have here how you spend your time each day. But my favorite is this one, your tasks by label, because you'll see which area of your life takes up most of your time. I love seeing that because sometimes I spend so much time at work or on my projects and not so much on my health, on my family and friends, or on my hobbies. So that's actually nice to see. I bet it would be hard to appreciate this because I can't show you the actual time that I spend, but there's that. And then how I use this is I would like dump my tasks. Let's say task one there, and then I would tag it. So my labels are based on the life areas that I like to prioritize. So I have here work, So I have work, I have play, I have personal, so admin and chores, and then health, movement, sleep, spiritual health. So I'm a Christian, so that involves like reading the Bible, going to church, my devotionals, praying, worshiping in private, and then I have events for work. This is where I log my meetings because I want to see in my analytics how much time I spend in meetings because I really hate having long and multiple meetings in a day. And then personal, so for example, this one, a dental appointment, I tagged that as personal. So I like using these labels because it helps me analyze my data better and see which of these areas of my life and sub areas of my life take much of my time. So that's my favorite part. And then you could also like add like due date here. And then this is where you put the actual time that it took you. But if you don't like to do that manually, you could also, every time you start a task, you could start a timer. And there. And then it will just like record that. And then you could add priority. And then for recurring tasks, you could add attachments. And what I love is that I can add like also notes here. So if there's a meeting, I could write all my notes here already so that when I look at what happened in the past week, I know that in this particular meeting, these were the things discussed and all that. I sound like a nerd, and that's okay. Take that as a compliment. But I also have subtasks here, but the subtasks are really simple. So unlike with other project management tools, you are not actually able to treat this as another task. So it won't have the same metadata. Is that what you call it? So it's just like a simple checklist. You won't be able to track this outside of this. So it's just kind of like a simple to-do list. And I love that because I don't like to overcomplicate things now that I'm older. I don't like having to tinker with too much because it takes away the time that I could be spending actually doing the work. So yeah, and then what I do is, for example, this wasn't done yet. So time blocking does not work for me because I feel constrained. I feel like if you're familiar with Gretchen Rubin's four tendencies, I'm a questioner and I don't like schedules and ideas being imposed on me. So what I like to do is instead of setting a rigid time block of the day that I would have to stick to no matter what I do is I have everything here, and then every time I do a task, that's when I drag them to time block. So it feels more freeing, it feels more spontaneous and not like it's imposing how your day should look like and go, how every minute of your life should go. But instead, you're just like updating it that, oh, this is actually what happened. So essentially, it's still a time block, but it's retro time block. So for example, I put here that I'm gonna have lunch with friend number 1. I would drag this, no, let me check that. So I would drag this when I start lunch, and then after lunch, if for example the lunch ended at 1:30, that's when I'll update this so that it's accurate. I find that retro time blocking works better for me because I hate seeing like a day fully time blocked as if I have no breathing room, as if I have no more freedom to move things around, and that every minute should go exactly the way that I planned it. So, okay, I'm gonna continue yapping even though I'm no longer on cam because my phone overheated, but I want to keep yapping and showing you my workflow. So that's how I block my days. So I also love that I can email tasks to this calendar. Let's just say that this is a task from work and I'm not, or an email from my boss and I'm not ready to deal with it yet, but then I would also not feel at peace knowing that there's an open task waiting in my email. What I would do is forward this to my directly to my tasks. I would choose Ellie today. I would send it. And then what happens is later it will show up. Actually, it would show up any minute now. Here. And because I could email it directly to my to-do list, to my email, I would no longer have this like worry that I'm missing out something because everything that I have to do goes into here. What else do I love about Ellie? You could also have this Kanban board. My next app is Capacities, but let me open it on my browser. This is my third tool, the last one that I'll discuss today. So I tried Obsidian, but I'm a sucker for like clean user interfaces and like very simple to set up, not much like back end customization or plugins that I have to do. All I have to do here on Capacities is write. My favorite part here is the daily note because I really keep my note taking and learning system easy because I get overwhelmed if there's a lot of things that I have to do. So I just have this daily note. And for example, later I thought of this title, The Lie of If Onlys. And I would just like type it there and I could go back to it if I wanna. And what I usually do with daily notes is like type timestamp. I think this is called Interstitial Journaling by Anne Lore Kampf. I'm not sure if I'm saying her name right. Anne Lore Kampf. Let me try to pronounce her name. Pronunciation. I love that we have this side quest to figure this out. Anne-Laure Lecomte. Okay, Anne-Laure Lecomte. So I think that's where I first discovered interstitial journaling. So I guess it's just like adding a timestamp of when you were writing the line, and then I would say, I'm recording a YouTube video about my Q2 journaling and planning system. I also add like I feel conscious about my hair. Yeah, so I write what I'm doing and how I'm feeling. So that's kind of where my journaling's at lately. I don't really do much of like heavy emotional journaling. I just do this interstitial journaling while working on something so that I could release any emotions that I'm having when I'm being stressed out by work or being pressured with my in my projects. Yeah. And another thing that I love here is the graph view. So for example, I will go to my tag, budding. These are like the initial ideas that I have. And right now they don't connect much yet because I just cleaned up my setup. But eventually you would see the connections between the notes that you're making. Yeah, I guess that's just it for capacities. Another thing that I've started is recording the books that I'm reading and then taking notes within so that I would be able to reference them every time I do a podcast episode or a YouTube. And then I also haven't written anything yet, but I'm recording the shows that I've been watching. I'm not sure how I can create a new one though. It's because I'm also watching Weeds, which, by the way, the protagonist there reminds me so much of Lorelai Gilmore. Yeah, I guess that's it. So I have my digital garden here that I've started. It's still really empty because I just like cleaned this up because previous to capacities I was trying to figure out Obsidian, and before that I was always using Notion. So that's it. I'm gonna go back on cam now because my phone's restarted. Bye. So I actually bought an expensive leather journal cover for this year, but I find that I'm a bit too scared to pull it out in public, so that's why I went back to using cheap $2, $1 notebooks, pocket notebooks, and it works for me. And it just goes to show that you don't have to ride every trend, because if I only knew that buying an expensive leather journal won't make me more prolific in writing or more consistent with my journaling or tracking my ideas, I would have spent more than half of my rent on my studio apartment. That's the cost of the notebook that I'm not even using. I might just even use it as a passport. I might just even use it as a passport cover. So yeah, maybe in my future system I'll be able to use it, but I don't see myself using it anytime soon because I want my pocket journals to be like fuss free and like something that you would feel comfortable taking out every time an idea worth writing pops in your head, in your mind. So yeah, there's that. And that's it. So subscribe if you are interested in seeing separate videos on those tools. So I'm gonna have a video talking about my favorite journal prompts, my favorite spreads, and how I think on paper. I'm also gonna talk about the perfect week planning method using Ellie, and also an update about my digital gardening setup using Capacity. So if you're into any of those, come on, click that subscribe button and see you in the next video. Bye!